What's up, people? Just a quick overview of our new language topic here in stage 24. I'm going to post, this will be the first of two videos. I'll post another video for the second half in the second form. But our topic is the subjunctive mood. So kind of finally, we get done with participles and we move on to a new kind of really overarching grammatical concept, which is the subjunctive mood. So let's start in English. The subjunctive mood expresses a few common things in English. We use it every day. So, for example, we have wish. Okay, I wish I were a butterfly. That's why we don't say I wish I was a butterfly. All right, we switch this because that's one of the things that the subjunctive mood expresses. We have uncertainty. I don't know. I may watch the ball game tomorrow. That's why we put the word may here in English. And then contrary to fact expressions or conditions. If I were a butterfly, I would fly away. On the condition that I were a butterfly, I would fly away. The subjunctive mood is why we say if I were and not if I was. One of the ways that kind of stuck with me is my Spanish teacher in high school called the subjunctive mood the make-believe form. All right, it's like, notice in English here, it's I wish I were a butterfly. It doesn't mean you're a butterfly, you just wish it. It's not something that's exactly real or true or a statement. Uncertainty. I may watch the ball game. Like, you're uncertain, you don't know yet. It's like make believe, if you will. And then contrary to fact, it isn't factual. All right, it's under a certain condition or certain parameters that you would fly away if you were a butterfly. So in English, at least, the subjunctive mood expresses these make-believe things. These are things that may not be real or completely factual, but wish, uncertainty, or contrary to fact. Now, moving on to the subjunctive mood in Latin, the subjunctive mood is used to express like certain specific things. So it's not the same as in English, as you're going to see. It expresses requests. So, for example, might you do this for me, or let's do something. Purpose. I'm going to the store in order to buy groceries. That's the purpose of my going to the store. Fearing. I fear that something may happen. Still kind of keeping that little make-believe sense of it. You might fear it, doesn't mean it's going to happen. Result. I was so scared that I hid under my bed or something like that. I hid in my closet. It's as a result of something else happening. An indirect command. So instead of telling someone, open your book. All right. You're saying, I told the students to open their books. It's almost like you're referring to the command rather than directly giving it. An indirect question. So you're not saying, who are you? You're saying, I want to know who you are. So you notice how there you're not directly asking the question, you're doing so indirectly. And then this is the one that we're going to talk about the most. This stage is circumstance, and I'll explain that a little bit more when we get there. So we're not going to get to all of these this year, but we will get to more than just circumstance. But for now, stage 24, we're just talking about circumstantial clauses. So if you didn't quite understand all of this, it's not a big deal, but just know that there are certain situations, certain expressions, certain thoughts or ideas that are used the subjunctive mood. When we talk about a mood, don't think of it as like, oh, I'm in a bad mood. Think of it more as like the mode, the version of the verb. So rather than the indicative mood, which points out a fact or says something like that indicates some information. This is a different mood. It's a different mode to express a certain number of other things. So again, if you didn't quite get this slide in the previous one, it's not totally required for stage 24. You can kind of pick it up from the video from here. So the first really new grammar topic is the pluperfect subjunctive. So we've seen the word pluperfect before, and there are elements of the pluperfect subjunctive in the pluperfect that we've learned already. So the ISSE form of the subjunctive is called the pluperfect subjunctive. And just like the pluperfect indicative, our regular old ERA is HAD, ISSE now is also always translated as had. So for example, exeaset, whereas the pluperfect indicative would have an ERA, ISSE here means he had exited. Audiwisset would be he had heard. Again, instead of audiwerat, ERA is HAD, ISSE is also HAD. And so, just like the pluperfect indicative, as I said, the regular pluperfect, the pluperfect subjunctive happens before another action. We talked about this idea of like before and after. We talked about how these kinds of Latin 3 constructions kind of have like a sense of timing to them. We did this with perfect participles, active and passive. Those actions happen before the other action in the sentence. That's really what these things indicate. Present participle, perfect participle. Pluperfect subjunctive now means that the action happened before the other action in the sentence. Now, I mentioned those specific uses or functions of the subjunctive in Latin, and one of them is circumstance or circumstantial clauses. So the most functional thing for translating our stories about this is with the pluperfect subjunctive cum usually means when. So when you see the Latin word cum usually starting off a clause or even starting off a sentence, and then you see a subjunctive verb with it, it kind of changes the meaning of the Latin word cum. For 23 stages, we've known that the Latin word cum means with, and it still does, depending on the situation. And throughout the stage, we're going to do some exercises where we distinguish, does cum mean when or does cum mean with? But it's when you have a subjunctive form, when you have, for now, one of those ISSE forms, cum is going to mean when. So cum stritio transiasset is when stritio had crossed. Another example here, we have cum and then another ISSE form. Cum plus a subjunctive is not going to mean with, it's going to mean when they had come to the bridge. So if you take nothing else away from this, the functional thing with our topic today is cum with the subjunctive. For now, ISSEs, a verb with ISSE at the end of the clause, will mean when, ... had. And so this construction shows the circumstances under which another action happens. So, for example, when they had come to the bridge, and this is in one of our stories, the horse refused to cross. So the idea of circumstance here is under the circumstances that they approached the bridge, the horse refused to cross. If they hadn't, reached the bridge, then the horse wouldn't have had the opportunity to refuse to cross. And so whenever you see cum with this subjunctive, as we do here, you're talking about the circumstances under which another action happens. And I'll illustrate this better in our stories, because this stage we're going to see quite a few of these cum plus a subjunctive forms. So my next video is going to be on the imperfect subjunctive. There's another tense involved with the subjunctive. But I think this is a good place to cut it here, and you'll see that other video posted with the next exercise.